Hey, everybody. Welcome to today's training session 16X, the Solopreneur's Massive Business Growth Formula. You are in the right place. I look forward to spending the next several hours together. I'm just joking. Probably be about 60 minutes, maybe a little longer, depending on how quickly we get through the material. I do have a lot of stuff to cover, and I'm very excited to share this with you. This truly is a proven formula for massive business growth. So with that said, let's just go ahead and get started. I hope everybody can hear me okay. If for some reason you can't, well then certainly let me know. You'll notice that there's an area down in the bottom of your screen where it says you can pop in a question. So you can certainly put in there whether or not you were having any challenges hearing me. And we'll give it just a little bit, just another half a minute or so to let some people get on, because there were quite a few signups. And I did see, I see a lot of people joining as we speak. So, but excuse me, sorry about that. Anyway, I hope you can hear me well. This is going to be an exciting time together, and I'm going to share everything. And I want you to relax. Like I said in the last email that went out, this is not a sales presentation. You can put your wallet away. This truly is training. I'm going to share with you how to 16x your business. And so with that said, looking to see if there's any other questions in here. And at the moment, I don't see any, so that's good. All right, that means we can all hear and we're good to go. So this should have your own massive business growth, even if you're stuck and don't know the first thing about sales or marketing. And unfortunately, in this day and age, we have a lot of confusion out there. I need to make some earnings and income disclaimers. And basically, there are no earnings projections, promises, or representations. The things I share with you are examples. I can't guarantee that you're going to do as well or that you'll do anything for that matter. The truth is, I don't know what you're going to do with the information I'm going to give you. I'm going to give you proven formulas. What you do with them, of course, will be up to you. So how can we get the most out of our time together? Well, I'd like you to eliminate all the outside distractions. Get into a quiet room, turn off your cell phone, and know the world won't suddenly come to an end. And, take notes. A lot of studies have proven that people that take notes have much higher retention. And I want you to expect to learn something. It's going to make a difference for you in your business, your life, or both. And so, I'd like to also cover who this is for. This is for small business owners, solopreneurs, solo practitioners, coaches, consultants, essentially anyone that's stuck in their business and they want to know how to make it grow. At the same time, I think it's important to talk about who this is not for. Anybody looking for get-rich-quick schemes, the next shiny object, anybody that's not willing to work. And if you're on here, I know you're willing to work, you wouldn't even be on here. If you're not open to new ideas, if you're set in your ways and you don't care about proven strategies to grow your business, this isn't going to be for you. And if you don't deliver valuable service or products, I'd like you to just get off now. And what I mean by that is if you think that business is really just to take advantage of people or to they've got your money in their pocket and that's kind of your mentality, then this isn't really going to be for you. I really come from an integrity-based sales and marketing process. And, so I like to work with people that have that same integrity. So the other thing I want to talk about is why you would want to stay to the end. First off, I'm going to give you complete system, the whole idea. If you leave early, you'll miss something. And then the other issue is that I have a special resource that I will give to you for free. It shows you how to figure out if an advertisement is going to work before you even spend a dime. It's an amazing resource. And, I like to paint big picture. And then I drill down and, so I need to teach you sometimes the thinking behind the strategy so that you're ready for it. Now, it always interests me when I work with solopreneurs and small business owners. Sometimes I ask them, where would you like to see your business in the next 3 years? And I get a lot of interesting answers. One of the answers that comes up all too often is, "Oh, that's a good question." But we don't need to think 3 years out. But for this year, what are your revenue goals? And I want you to write this down. So if you haven't gotten something to write with, go ahead and grab, a pen and paper or a pencil, crayon, whatever's going to work for you. What are your revenue goals for this year? Hold on just a second. Got this thing going backwards on me here. There we go. What are your revenue goals? How much money do you want your business to make for 2015? What is it currently making? And if you need to do this by month, how much do you want your business to do each month? What's it currently making? I want you to write this down. What's the difference or the gap? And this is, how you do a gap analysis in a business. What's the difference? So if you want to make $500,000 a year and you're at $300,000, there's a $200,000 gap. If you want to make $1 million and you're at $600,000, there's a $400,000 gap. Or if you're looking at it monthly and you want to do $25,000 a month, but you're still struggling to get to 10, well, then you have a little more than a $15,000 gap. So what is that gap? It's an important number to know. So write that down and just keep it in mind. You've probably heard the statistics about business failure. Now, according to Bloomberg, 80% of the businesses fail in the first 18 months. There's other studies that show how many fail in 5 years. And, and there's even some studies that say that it's not as bad as everybody says it is. So really, it's kind of whoever's doing the study, it seems like. But what I want to look at is, why do businesses fail? And the main reason is that they're simply running out of cash. I mean, that's just a symptom. I mean, ultimately, why would a business run out of cash? Last year, from 2013 to 2014, businesses that were in business in 2013 but were not in business in 2014, they did a survey of just over 14 million businesses, and 1 million businesses were no longer in business in 2014, and the reason was either poor sales, cash flow, or inability to borrow money, which is all part of cash flow. And 1 million, think about it, over 1 million businesses failed from 2013 to 2014, all because of cash flow. They ran out of cash. So here's the big reasons. Businesses aren't in touch with their customers at a deep level, and that's a function of communication. They're not really finding out what their clients want. It's actually it points right back to no ideal client profile. A lot of small business owners really think that they want to try to get everybody in their store, because the more people that they can sell to, the more money they can make. It's actually the opposite of that. The reality is that if you're very specific about who you target, you make more money. You want to be a specialist, not a generalist. Think about doctors. You go to your family doctor. He makes a good living and everything. But if you needed heart work, you're going to go to a heart surgeon, and that heart surgeon or a cardiologist, he makes 10 times the money, or sometimes even 20 times the money, because he's a specialist. This all comes down to ideal client profile and poor communication with your clients. The other issue is that most businesses look like every other business out there. And when you really have no way to differentiate yourself and you just look like everybody else, you end up competing on price. And then what you do ultimately becomes a commodity. And so when you compete on price, everybody loses. What you want to get out of competing on price. And the other thing that was interesting about the reasons they failed was they couldn't clearly or compellingly communicate their unique selling proposition. And this comes back to competing on price. If you don't have a unique selling proposition or a value proposition, you end up competing on price. Worse yet, a lot of the businesses that failed didn't even have one. And they had little or no online presence, or if they did have an online presence, it was a bad one, or they had a bad or a poor reputation, 1 or 2 star reviews, or a few flamers out there, upset customers. Now, you might be past 18 months in your business, and that's great if you are. Congratulations. And, and I didn't put this webinar out there for startups. That's not the point. The point is, what can we learn from these business failures, and how much of it is true about our own business? Do we really communicate at a deep level with our customers? Do we know what their likes and dislikes are? Have we identified our ideal client? I mean, that perfect client, that one that comes in and buys what you want. They don't what you have. They don't complain about the price. They refer their friends. They buy more often. They're wonderful. You know, does your business look like everybody else's in your industry? Are you unique? Is there something that makes you different? Do you have a unique selling proposition? And what's your online presence look like? So those are just some things I want you to think about, and that's, kind of run it around in your head and just think about how does that apply to your business. Now, here's what we're going to cover. We're going to talk about why you might be stuck or experiencing a feast or famine cycle in your business, because many businesses are plagued with inconsistent revenues. 1 month's great, the next month is not so great. We're going to talk about how to break that feast or famine cycle once and for all so you can hit the income level you want. I'm going to give you a shift, small shift, but important, about how you think about marketing. And also, we're going to do a shift in how you think about what you do and who you are. The reason you're probably on here is I'm going to show you how to have your own 16x massive business growth. So at this stage of the game, a lot of people want to know a little bit about who I am and why on earth they should even listen to me. I'm not going to spend a lot of time talking about myself, but I think it helps you to know a little bit about my background. This isn't actually me, but it kind of gives you an idea. In high school, I went to a small town. We had a vocational technical high school, and I spent half of my junior and senior year in auto mechanics and graduated high school as a mechanic. I loved working on cars. I like figuring out what's broken and fixing things. I like systems because, a car is really just a bunch of different systems. And, you can imagine that kind of got me into cars. So my buddy and I, my best friend in high school and I, we rebuilt a classic 66 Mustang coupe and sold it. I kind of like the idea of making money. This is a picture of a 68 Chevelle Super Sport. It's not the one that I had. I wasn't real good about taking pictures back then, but had a 68 Chevelle Super Sport. What a fast car that was. 396 big block, it was wonderful. And, and then I got into a lot of trouble with the 77 Z28. As a matter of fact, answer questions about all the tickets I got when later on I joined the Navy. So I joined the United States Navy. That's a picture of the last ship I was on, the USS Jewett. It's a guided missile cruiser. And what I did is I actually took care of, here, I'll zoom in for you. I took care of this system here on that particular ship, but I was also trained on this system here, which works with the missile system. And this right here, this is the 48 Echo air search radar. And these pair of radars here, this is the 55 Bravo Mod 9. So the air search radar up here, that would actually track the big target and direct the weapons control radar to the target. And that would actually be the information that was needed for the missile. And so it got to go through quite a few missile shoots. That's really what it's all about. But my systems, between the two systems, I went through quite a few years of school. And again, really studied troubleshooting and strategic thinking and understanding how you solve a problem and just systems again in general. But like I said, the big fun about being on the ship that everybody liked was firing the missiles. We liked to shoot things down. So that was always the fun part and always enjoyed it. Those are SM-2 missiles and they were exciting. So a little more about me. I am proud to have served. That's good how that slide worked well. Proud to have served in the in my country's Navy. I was there just almost 10 years. I have personally closed over 12,000 sales. Before I went into the Navy, I was in sales. When I got out of the Navy, I found out that even though I had all that extensive training in electronics and engineering and had my degree, I couldn't make the kind of money I wanted to make. So I went into sales and actually made a lot of money. I have sold everything from businesses all the way to Kirby vacuums, big ticket sales over $1 million, little ticket sales, inside sales, outside sales, long sales cycles, short sales cycle, one call closing, relationship building. You've done it. You name it. I have sold almost everything there is to sell. And along the way, I have trained salespeople and worked with quite a few of them And my teams and myself have been responsible for over $315 million in goods and services being sold. Now, I've personally trained over 1,200 salespeople. And when I say that, there's a lot of people out there that'll say, I've trained 30,000 salespeople. Well, I actually trained them one-on-one, face-to-face. I didn't do it a group at 500 at a time or 1,200 at a time. I actually did these. The biggest group I would ever train would be 10 salespeople at a time. It's a real transference of knowledge. I want people to understand what they need to know. And these salespeople have gone on to be very successful. That's how it's how I know what I do works. I've watched it work over and over. I have become known as a business growth coach. I have a lot of experience turning companies around. When I first left sales and went into management, I did it for a company, WordSmart, and I'll tell you a little more about that in just a minute, as well as One Coach and some of the others. But before even that, I was a business broker. I had an opportunity to study over 700 small businesses. And in that process, I really, very quickly, you figure out which businesses are saleable. And not just that, which businesses will sell for a premium. And it was interesting because, there are just some businesses that won't. And a lot of business owners, there's a high percentage every year, hundreds of thousands of businesses that just stop every year because the business owner retires. They don't have a saleable asset. So even if you didn't want to sell your business, if you operate it and you design it so that it is in fact a saleable asset, it's going to be more profitable and run more smoothly. And we'll talk a little bit more about that. But like I was talking about with WordSmart, they were doing $85,000 a month, actually losing money hand over fist. They were a couple $1 million in debt. The owner was a deep pocket millionaire, and it was a passion. He ran it much like a hobby. Anyway, we went from $85,000 a month losing money, $2 million in debt, to over $1.6 million a month, debt-free with a very healthy 23% profit margin. As a matter of fact, when I left, we had completed the purchase of a 12,000 square foot office building in Southern California worth well over $2 million. And that was something that, it was an interesting story. I came in and we doubled sales in the very first month. That was a function of sitting down and talking to the salespeople, putting some boundaries in place, helping them with some language, but at the same time, holding them accountable. I put a quota in place. We turned around and we doubled it again in the second month. 90 days later, we actually tripled sales, and we just took off from there. At that point, the owner, for the first time in 7 years, was able to start taking a paycheck out of his business. How many of you on this training right now want to be able to take a paycheck out of your business but aren't? Yeah, quite a few. Good. Yeah, just put it in the box. That's one of the challenges we have with business. A lot of times we get so caught up working that, we don't pay ourselves. Another company I helped, I actually took a company called One Coach. John Assraff and Murray Smith founded One Coach, and they were there to help small business owners, and we worked with quite a few small business owners. We actually went from 0 to 7 million in 6 months. I was the original director of sales. I had zero revenue, startup. I put together the sales process, the coaching, and hired and trained the sales team. And we enrolled over 1,600 clients worth more than $7 million in the very first 6 months. Took off like crazy. What a lot of fun that was. Worked with hundreds and hundreds, obviously 1,600 clients, over 1,000 different small business owners on their businesses. Later, another company I worked with was Abacus Law. They make practice management software for law firms. When I came there, they were doing 4.7 million, 25-year-old company. Put systems and processes in place to help them get to 14.7 million. More importantly for them, ultimately, we increased new client acquisitions by 412%. The life of every business ultimately comes down to, can you bring in new clients as well as get your existing clients to continue to purchase from you? So a huge, huge, huge revenue increase for them. So I'm not sharing any of this to brag. I mean, it is fun to talk about. I had a lot of fun doing these things. And there were other companies where I went in and turned divisions around that were slated for closure, and we actually turned them back into profitable viable entities for the business. And, customers where I've taken from, one of the clients I had, actually, he's a good friend to this day, but when he came to me, his company at the peak had been doing over $3 million. And it dropped down to a little over $1 million because he was working on this project and he had taken his eye off the ball and he was letting his employees just run his business and he wasn't holding them accountable. Well, he was losing money. I mean, he was losing money so fast that he'd just gone through his entire personal savings. Now, keep in mind, for years, he had been making $500,000 to $600,000 a year clear. And he wiped out his entire personal savings, mortgaged his house, mortgaged the office building he was in. And he calls me up and he's really, honestly ready to give up. And I mean, give up completely. And so we talked. Within 30 days, we had stopped the negative cash flow and turned it around to a positive. Within 90 days, he was actually back to paying himself again. And, we had just cleared up. The interesting thing is now he handles a lot. He's a distributor. He handles a lot of different items. Full on 60% of what he was selling for less than it was costing him because he had just not even adjusted prices in a few years and hadn't even looked at it. So, it didn't take long, obviously, to fix that. And along the way, we had to make some tough decisions and get rid of some clients that didn't make sense for the business anymore, get very focused and streamlined. But, we turned it all around. And so there's, but I just bring these things up just to kind of share with you a little bit about my background so that you do know that, I've been there and done that. And so one of the things I find with small business owners and solopreneurs is their mindset. It's critical. So if somebody comes up and asks you, what do? What do you tell them? See, the way you see yourself really has everything to do with how other people see you and how they see your business. A lot of times, if you're a chiropractor, somebody might ask you, well, what do you do? Well, I'm a chiropractor. Okay, well, that's great. That's not what you do. That's what your profession is. And, so that really doesn't help. So what do you tell people? I mean, think about it like this. If you're a painter and you say, well, I paint houses. Okay. How about if on the other hand, well, I'm the CEO of, John's Plumbing and Repair. And we help residential owners, we help homeowners solve their plumbing problems in under 30 minutes, or it's free, or whatever you want to say for your tagline. I mean, because this is the perfect opportunity for you to give your elevator pitch or your tagline. It's critical, and depending on what you do, will have a lot to do with how you answer this question. But, if you think of yourself as the founder, the president of, the CEO, and that's how you present yourself very professionally, not snobby, but professionally, people instantly have a different opinion of you versus, I paint houses, or, well, I'm a plumber, or, I do well repair, I'm an electrician. Sure, you might be those things, but what is your business and how do you help people? So the other challenge that I find that solopreneurs and small businesses run into, this is a pretty typical org chart. I mean, there could be different things in here, but, you have the different departments and managers and, everything. Well, in a small business, it really looks a lot like this. You get to wear every single hat. You're the chief cook and bottle washer, as they say. And so the problem with that is that most small business owners and solopreneurs that I work with and that I've had a lot of time to work with over the years, really they have their hands on everything and they do everything, and they're convinced nobody can do everything as well as they can, and that's very likely true. But you end up being this guy running around trying to keep the plate spinning, and things fall through the cracks. And more often than not, you're probably doing things that aren't really generating revenue for you and making you a lot of money. And so, ultimately, at some point, you got to outsource or barter or even hire help so that you can grow your business. Now, I told you at the beginning, I talked to you about the feast or famine cycle. It's a pretty typical sales funnel. You don't have to get hung up on it. You got opportunity sales, clients, retention. But here's what happens. You create leads. Or at least I hope you create leads, whether they come from word of mouth, a referral, or some type of offer that you're doing. You create the leads and you start to work them, and the lead becomes the opportunity, and then it becomes a sale, and now it's a client. But you get busy, and when you get busy, because now you're working with the sale or the client, or you're trying to close the deal, you stop working on leads. You're not prospecting anymore. And so, things kind of slow down a little bit. Now, the problem is most businesses, their sale, it takes a few days or to a few weeks. And so it's not immediately obvious. But as soon as you realize, oh my goodness, I haven't done any prospecting, and truth is most business owners hate to prospect, and they don't have systems in place so that it automatically works for them. So here we are, we have this challenge, and we stop prospecting. So when you stop prospecting, you stop getting leads. So then you realize, oh my goodness, I got to do something. So you run out there and you begin your lead generation, you're prospecting, you're knocking on doors, you're mailing letters, or whatever it is you're doing so that you can get prospects. And at that point, things start to pick back up again and you're okay. So now everything's fine. But like I said before, you get caught in that cycle. You get busy, you're taking care of clients, you got other things going on, you quit your prospecting, so you don't have leads coming into the funnel. And if you don't have leads coming into the funnel, well, it's the self-replicating thing of feast or famine. So if you really take a look at what's going on in your business and you analyze your good months versus your bad months, and I know some of you on here actually have genuinely got seasonal businesses, but if you take that out of the equation, I think you'll agree that you don't prospect regularly, consistently, for lack of a better word, religiously. So, ultimately you end up creating this never-ending cycle. But look, I want you to know it's not your fault. I mean, if you're struggling and you're frustrated, bottom line is it's not a lack of willpower. It isn't because you're gullible or anything like that. It's not a moral failure on your part. The fact is, you have to ask, who taught you how to run and grow your business? Who taught you how to market your business so that you literally have an endless supply of qualified clients? Chances are pretty good. Nobody. So here's what you have to do. You got to think differently. Einstein says we can't solve our problems with the same thinking we used when we created them. I'm not saying your business is a problem. Please don't take it that way. But if you're on here, you're listening right now because you want your business to grow massively. It's not doing quite what you want it to do. Well, part of thinking differently is understanding the difference between strategies and tactics. So a strategy is the large overall plan. It's that what part of the equation, the question, what are we trying to accomplish? Tactics are very specific. It's the task that you're going to do that can be carried out. It's kind of like the how or the who part of the equation. It answers that question, how are we going to accomplish our goals? So tactic is how you get something done. The strategy is what you want to do. So let's talk a little bit more about that. Strategy focuses on what you say and how you say it and who you say it to. It's really the content and intent of your message. The tactic is how it's delivered. It could be generating leads, brochures, pay-per-click, promoted posts. Any of those are ways to deliver the strategy. All right. So here's what happens, though. Most people focus on tactics. They think they need to run a particular pay-per-click campaign or a radio ad, or they put something in print, or they're going to put up a billboard. Those are all tactics, and many, many times the businesses fail to think about the strategy. So here, let me give you an example. At any given time, about 3% of the market is ready to buy right now. They're looking and they're out there and they're ready. 70%, on the other hand, actually it's another 67%, but the total is 70%, are open to doing something if you take the time to educate them on that need and why you're the best choice. 30%, obviously if we have 70, the remaining 30%, they're not going to do anything soon, if at all. So here's what happens. When you're busy doing, most offers these days are the free consultation, free estimate. That gets the 3%. That's the people that are ready right now. Let me show it to you a different way. Okay, so here we have 3%. That's the active people. That's the ones that are ready to buy right now, low-hanging fruit. That's what everybody's going after. 7% are actually open. They've started the buying mode. They haven't made the purchase yet, but they're in the process. There's a 30% group that are aware. They're ready to buy something in the future. They know they have the need. They're going to do something. But there's another 30% that aren't really even aware the solution exists for what their problem is, but they are open to buying. Remember, if I said you could show them you're the right solution, sometimes you even have to educate them on what the solution is to their problem. If you reach the 70% of the market, which simply changes by how you do your marketing, it's real easy to do. If you go after the 70% instead of the 3%, it's a 23x improvement. Remember, I told you we'd talk about 16x. This is a 23. You could get 23 times the leads. And by the way, they're higher quality leads when you know what to do with them. I'll give you an example. Everybody knows they're supposed to go see the doctor when they're sick, but they don't, and they do that. Most people go to the doctor if they're sick. But what they don't understand is the value of an annual physical. And so not knowing the value of the annual physical, which helps prevent many, many sicknesses because of early, or at least treat them better because of early detection, there's all kinds of people that don't do annual physicals. So education would get them there sooner, and they just don't know. So they fall in an aware category, but they just keep putting it off. Or another example, it might not be as much fun, but another example is 72% of the couples that go to couples therapy, they end in divorce. 72%. So if you were a divorce attorney, you should actually be targeting people going to couples therapy. You're catching them earlier in their buying cycle. Huge increase in the number of leads you get. Now, the truth is, just about everything you've ever been taught about marketing is wrong. So human nature being what it is, it demands that buyers always want to make the best decision possible. So your marketing and advertising needs to get the attention of the target market and help them in their decision-making process, as well as lower their risk of taking that next step in the sales process. So the marketing formula, I plus E plus E plus O equals results, is this. It's interrupt. So how do you interrupt? It's a headline. You get qualified prospects to pay attention to your marketing by identifying and hitting their hot buttons. And I'll talk more about hot buttons in just a minute. After you've interrupted them with a great headline that hits their hot buttons, we want to engage them. That sucks them in, gets them to read, because the interrupt is to stop them in their tracks, break them out of their I'll explain it in a minute, alpha mode. And then we engage them, and that's going to get them keep reading. We're going to promise them information is forthcoming that's going to facilitate their decision-making process. Then we need to educate them. We're going to identify that important issue that the prospect needs to be aware of. And then we'll show them how to stack up against the issues and build a case for your business. So it's interrupt, engage, educate, and then offer. We want to give our prospects a low-risk way to take the next step in the buying process. When we follow this marketing formula, you get results. But in order to understand why the marketing formula works, I need to explain to you how your prospect's brain works. Don't worry, it's not going to get too scary. But the fact is, we spend most of our time in alpha mode. And the best way for me to explain that is if you were driving to work, how many times have you ever gotten to your shop, your business, and you kind of stop and think about, wow, I don't even remember going past, whatever, or I'm not even sure I remember driving here. That's alpha mode. That's how amazing our brains are. You have this ability to get from A to B without actually paying attention because your brain can handle it. Now, beta mode, on the other hand, that's actively engaged. A couple of months ago, my wife and I, we were heading to the airport, and we had to drive several hours to get to the airport. But it was snowing the whole way. And I'm not just talking about a little bit of snow. It was already slick, and it was coming down so thick sometimes we couldn't hardly see the car in front of us. And we were sliding. If I tried to go very fast at all, I'd lose traction. So that's beta mode. Both hands on the steering wheel. You're paying complete attention. You couldn't fall asleep if you wanted to. You're hyper vigilant. You're paying close attention. Now, the reason to know the difference between alpha and beta, let me give you an example. Both of these come into play with the reticular activating system. You probably didn't know you were going to get on here and hear about brain stuff. Anyway, the reticular activating system is your body's processing system to pay attention to what is or isn't important. Like, best example I can give you, you've probably bought a car before, and next thing you know, everybody has one. I bought the first Buick of my life about 7 or 8 months ago, and I could not believe after that how many people have Buicks. Very popular car. At least now that I own one, I think it is. So this is a Honda Element. And the way it works, let's imagine you go buy a Honda Element, and it happens to be this red Honda Element, but it could be any Honda Element, doesn't matter. When you do that, you're sending a signal to your brain that this is important. And so what's going to happen is the reticular activating system is now going to stop filtering the Honda Element. And you're going to start seeing them everywhere you look. Honda Element, Honda Element, Honda Element. That's how your reticular activating system works. So when we break somebody out of alpha, because remember they're blocking everything out, into beta, now we have their attention and we can do something with that. That's why we need to understand hot buttons. So when I have a good headline to deal with a hot button, let's say I'm a plumber or a car repair or anything like that, fix it right, fix it fast, be on time. All those matter. Those are important. All of these are hot buttons. Quality, results match expectations. I mean, you don't want to go get something worked on and then have it not be the way you thought it would be. These are hot buttons. Honesty, quick resolution, other things like no hassles. Let me show you how to make more money. That's a hot button. Less risk, evidence to prove that it can be done, price. All of these are some of the hot buttons your prospects might be triggered by. And that's where it's important to figure out in your market which hot buttons really get the most attention. And so when you do this and you build it into a headline, and then below that headline, you've got the engage, you draw them in, and then you begin to educate them. And don't worry, I'll give you an example. Now you're ready to make an offer, and that offer would be a low risk way to get them to move forward. So here's a typical ad you would see, in your weekly paper or, your horse trader or something like that. All county auto tire and repair, or auto repair and tire. So here's the thing about this ad. If I covered the name of the business, it could be any business. And saying things like quality, ASE certified technicians, all of this stuff over here on the right, 100% customer satisfaction. We want to guarantee your satisfaction. No surprises. Work done right. Same day service. Convenience. Now, there's a couple in here that are hot buttons, but most of these are what we call platitudes. Or down here at the bottom under your dealership alternative, we fix everything. How does any of this make them different from anybody else in their market? They sound important, but they're not. That's why we call them platitudes. And so any business could say this stuff. So there's really nothing to differentiate them here. And if we crossed out the business name, you could put any business name on this ad and it would look like every single, auto repair place out there. So this is a bad ad for that reason, So then same thing here, we'll look at a roofing company. Here's the issue. Company names are not headlines. Remember we talked, a headline needs to interrupt, needs to have a hot button in it. So company names are not headlines. And if you crossed out that company name, this could be any roofing company. And let me ask you a question. Can somebody else say residential, commercial, industrial, strata, or workmanship guaranteed, fully insured? Anybody can say that stuff. And let me go back. I want to ask you another question about this one. You see the guy down here on the roof? Or this picture right here of roofs? Does that make you want to do business with these people? Does that give you evidence to prove that they could actually do what they say they could do? So a guy standing on a roof, big deal. Are you kind of seeing what I'm talking about here? This ad doesn't educate me on why this company would be better than anybody else's. Free estimates, big deal. Gutters and downspouts, no kidding. I mean, seriously? Really? I mean, come on. New and re-roofing repairs, of course, they're all types of shingles. Seriously, they're a roofing company. I expect them to be able to do that. So I know I'm being rough on these guys, but seriously, I mean, come on. This ad doesn't work for a lot of reasons. And now we'll go take a look at a dentist. You know, roofers and auto repair places aren't the only ones. Does a smiling lady with perfect teeth help you learn what you need to know about going to the dentist? Or how about this? Does knowing that they're conveniently located behind Walgreens, does that help you? You know, or that they have introductory offers? Does any of that help you? And first off, your local state-of-the-art dentist is right down the street. There's no hot buttons in there. There isn't an interrupt, you know. And if we go look at all of this stuff again, it's the same stuff anybody else that's a dentist can say. You know, and look, lawyers do the same thing. You would think lawyers could actually do a good job because the whole point behind the ad is to build a case. Comes to law close is not good enough, and they're trying to play off of this golf ball. Does that really capture your interest? I mean, if you're a golfer, it might, but then you find out it's about law. So it's what we call a false beta. It was an interrupt, but as soon as you realize it doesn't actually have anything to do with what you care about, you just go back to doing what you were doing. Here's an ad that works. 3 critical characteristics to demand from your attorney. Does yours stack up? Now, if I'm looking for an attorney, I want to know, can they do it? Expertise, caseload, fee policies. One of the other things I want to show you on this one is see how they did find out how we stack up, call for our free report, how to choose the right lawyer for your case. Low friction, simple phone call, but I'm going to get a free report. And it's going to cover these areas: expertise, caseload, and fee policies. Did this educate? So what we saw here, this is the, you know, we've got the interrupt, okay? Does your stack up? Is kind of engaging, you know, because what we're doing here, we've got the interrupt, we have the headline. So we have the headline here, and this actually makes me curious. I want to know more. Now we're down here, we're going to educate. All of this is about educate. And then we go to our offer. Just a nice, simple, free report. Sometimes people ask me if people read all the words in an ad. There's all kinds of people out there that tell you you can't put a lot of writing in your ads. They're absolutely wrong. Here's why. If you have the right hot buttons, when you do it, the reticular activating system doesn't have a choice. It has to wake up the conscious brain and pay attention. Look at the hot buttons on this. Drain your savings, jeopardize your retirement, and squash your quest for financial independence. That will get some attention. And down here, you might not be able to read it depending on how big what screen you're looking at. This right down here says nobody cares about your company name until they know what you can do for them. And a lot of companies put their company name first, thinking it's a headline, and it's just not. So anyway, change how you lay out your ads. You'll get tremendous results compared to what you're probably getting now. So does this work online? All right, let me zoom in a little bit, and I'll just look at the ads. So you see St. Louis roofers, local roofers, 30 years of experience. Call today for free inspection. So we got a free inspection, you know, free roofing estimates here. This guy's been doing a business for 40 years. Nobody cares, by the way. How long you've been in business will not get you more business. Why pay more? Save up to 30%. Call, you know. And, you know, here we got multiple. This is just somebody that actually buys leads, it makes leads for different companies. Free estimates. See, it's the same thing. There's no interrupt, there's no engage, there's no educate, there's no offer. So this is what we got to see. This is what we were looking at up there. That's what pretty typical, you know, subject, St. Louis roofer. They do that so that it comes up for the pay-per-click. Call 24/7, licensed and insured, free estimates. Pretty typical to what we just got done looking at. Here's a better way to do it. Free report. Learn the top 5 things you must know before hiring a roofing contractor. Call now to get our free report emailed to you instantly, 555, blah, 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 blah. See the difference? The one works. And here's why all this matters. I mean, you know, the reality is advertising's changed. Things are different. There's so much competition out there. I'll talk about it in just a minute. You know, but you have to do things differently. The marketplace has shifted. 93% of the buyers now search online before they buy. 90% of the buyers say that they trust recommendations from people they know. Interestingly enough, online, 89% of the buyers trust online recommendations from complete strangers. They just assume that they're good. Those stars matter. 80% of the internet users actually own a smartphone these days. 82% of local searches result in an offline action. And so that's important to know. That means that if somebody's searching online locally, they're going to do something about it. And yet, 49% of small businesses still don't even have a website. Or if they do have a website, it's not a good one. And as a matter of fact, recent Google updates are penalizing sites that are not mobile friendly. So you got to be mobile friendly, and that's not just smartphones. It's smartphones, tablets, any kind of mobile device, televisions for that matter. Your site needs to work on anything. And online search now actually gets more of the audience than any other advertising channel out there. So TV, print, all of them combined do not keep up with how much audience online search gets. And interestingly, smartphones now outsell PCs, and it's an insane number. It's been that way for a couple of years. Last year, almost 500 million smartphones shipped compared to about 150 million desktops. Huge, huge difference. Like I said, times are changing. Think about it. Yellow Pages. Where is yours? Is it just in a drawer? When was the last time you actually used it? Newspapers, we all know they're declining rapidly. And I mean, it makes sense. Why would I pick up the newspaper to read the news? I already got that information on my phone. I knew it minutes after it happened. I don't, or if I was on the internet, I don't need to pick up a newspaper anymore to see news. TV advertising is now competing with people that can record and eliminate ads, or services like Netflix or Hulu, so you don't even have to ever watch the ad anyway. Telemarketing, you have the do not call list, which really impacted telemarketing, but it does still work if you know how to do it right. And then there's direct mail. It's very expensive if you don't know what you're doing, can be very costly, but boy, if you do know what you're doing, you can crush it. And the interesting thing is, because of all these other changes, catalog companies and things like that have stopped. People get far less mail now than they used to, which actually opened up an opportunity for smart marketers to do direct mail. Print ads, they're expensive. If you don't follow the formula I showed you, you're going to run an ad that looks like everybody else's ad. And I'm not saying you won't get results out of it, but you won't get good results out of it. So it's got to be done right. And email, super, super easy if you know how to do it. Super easy, very cost effective. Most businesses don't even collect the email addresses of their clients. It's something you absolutely want to start doing. Here's something to think about. When somebody leaves their home these days, what do they always have with them? Car keys, their wallet, and their smartphone. People do not leave home without them. And so if your business isn't designed to take advantage of mobile sites, mobile friendly, it's not a mobile friendly site, or if you don't have ways for people to find you online with their smartphone, you're missing a lot of business. And so here's kind of what I see happening with a lot of small businesses. They have one, maybe two ways to bring business in. So if you thought about your revenue and how you were going to do things, I learned a long time ago from an incredible and a genius marketer, Jay Abraham. And, he calls this his power of the Parthenon. Most businesses only have one or two channels of revenue, direct sales or maybe all that comes in from referrals or whatever. So what I would ask you is, what would happen if the one approach you depend on suddenly became less effective? I mean, your business stream would diminish. You'd start to lose market share. If you had two of them, you begin to actually see some, you'll have a little bit of protection there. But what if you actually made a serious effort to formalize your marketing profit centers? What do you think could happen to your feast or famine cycle? I mean, right now you're putting all your efforts into one or two things, but what if you began to add other ways to build your business? It could be networking. You could bring in direct mail. You could do create an upsell. An upsell would be, somebody's in, they're buying your service. Well, maybe they could, so you go into McDonald's. How many times they ask you if you'd like to go large, go biggie size that thing. And that's an upsell. It makes a huge amount of money. Trust me, the hamburger does not make McDonald's money. It's the soda and fries that they make money on. So the upsell. a back end offer. If you're in a business where when you make your sale, it's a once and done, what else could you offer your client? And even if you do have other things, what could you develop? What could you add to the services you provide to sell more to your client? Do you have a formalized referral system? Have you got an email going out asking people for reviews and for referrals? Do you have a series of emails designed to get results? And if it's not emails, it's letters. It's a combination of letters and emails. In other words, do you have a process? Joint ventures. Who do you know that's complementary but not competitive that you could do business with, that you can help each other? Very fast way to grow your business. But here's the thing. If you only have one or two, you're in trouble. So what would your profit and revenue levels look like if you had a wide array of marketing approaches? I mean, we already know if you only have one or two ways to bring clients in, you're at the mercy of the market. It's kind of like putting all of your eggs in one basket. Well, yeah, we knew it was coming. I just had to say that. But part of what I want to explain to help you really understand how you can have this explosive business growth is really, where does business growth come from? There's only three ways to grow a business, and that's any business. I don't care if you're retail, wholesale, you're the manufacturer, it doesn't matter if you're a service provider, any business, there's only three ways. And those three ways are to get more clients. Obviously, if you get more clients, you're going to grow your business. More revenue per sale. So you want them to spend more each time they do business with you, and get them to do it more often, more repeat orders. It doesn't matter what the business is. This is the only three ways to grow a business. Now, let me illustrate how this works. You've probably heard the statistics. Cost anywhere from 4 to as much as 20 or even 30 times to acquire a new client compared to keeping an existing client happy and buying from you. Well, the interesting thing is most businesses spend all their money and time and effort getting new clients. So let's just suppose you had 200 new clients, just your total clients were 200. Your average revenue per order was $500, and they bought from you twice over the course of a year. Well, that's $200,000. So 200 times $500 times 2, that's $200,000. Like I said, most businesses spend all their time and effort getting more clients, which actually it's one of the most expensive ways to do things. Watch what happens when we work on all three at once. So if we had a 10% increase, see, I'm right here. If we have a 10% increase in clients, a 10% increase in revenue per order, and a 10% increase in the repeat orders, we would actually have $266,200. That's a 33% increase. It only took 10% in each of the three areas to get a 33% increase in revenue. But wait, we're not done. Imagine a 33% increase in each of the three areas. It's a whopping 135% increase in revenue. We went from 200 to 266 as far as clients go. We went from $500 to $665 for revenue per order. And we went from 2 to 2.66 purchases for a total of 135% increase. What difference would that make in your business with that kind of increase? How would you apply that to your life? What would you do differently? Now here's what you have to understand. There's all kinds of ways to get more clients, and that's what I was going to next. I'm going to show you, like I said in the email, I'm going to show you over 30 different ways to get more clients, more revenue per order, and more repeat orders. So if you haven't been taking notes, now would be a good time to start. So here we go. To get more clients, you got to focus on increasing your lead generation. I mean, it's kind of a no-brainer. The more leads you have, the more prospects you have, the more clients you're going to have. So the first thing you have to work on is your ideal client profile. And what that simply means is, we talked about it a little bit earlier. A lot of businesses want to market to everybody, but when you do that, you're not marketing to anybody. So if you're marketing to everybody, you're really, you're speaking at people, not to people. Imagine kind of take your clients, your best clients, and distill that into one person. Who is that? Are they male or female? How old are they? Be very specific. Don't give me this 25 to 55 range. Think about how old they are. Do they have kids? Are they married? Are they, what are their hobbies? What do they like to do? What do they hate to do? What do they read? And you want to think about this. This is developing a psychographic and a psychological profile. But it's important because if you can figure out who this person is, then when you begin to create copy, or you generate an ad, or you want to do a report or a white paper, you're talking to that person. And give them a name. Give them a name. They are a person. It's called creating your avatar. That ideal client profile. When you get very focused on who that is, you will be amazed at how much more effective your advertising and marketing efforts are. Formalize your referral systems. Figure out how to acquire clients that break even on the front end and learn how to make a profit on the back end. Maybe your initial sale, I'll give you an example. Dry cleaners, it's interesting. If you're in an area with quite a few dry cleaners, they've learned that if they can get a client to come 3 times, they basically have their business until they do, burn something, destroy something, or upset the client, or the client moves. So they, smart marketers figure that out. And that's why you see when a new dry cleaner opens, or when they're on a push to try to get new clients, that's why they'll offer ridiculous rates, like 25 cents for a dry cleaning, or even, bring 3 in, get 3 free. That they'll do all kinds of crazy things because they don't even care. As long as they break even on the beginning, they know they're going to have that client for life. So, and there's a lot of businesses that are that way. So you want to kind of think how that would work for you. Guarantee the purchase. It's called risk reversal. Make it easy for them. Can I offer a guarantee? The stronger the guarantee, the more sales you'll make. And yes, you'll have some returns, but very, very few. Advertising. Obviously, advertise, get more clients. Use direct mail. Use telemarketing. Figure out how to use it right for your business. Run special events or even education nights. You can buy qualified leads. There's a product called the a guide called the SRDS. It's the standard rate data sheet. It has a list of every lead list that's available. So go pick it up. Figure out your unique selling proposition, your value proposition. Develop your USP. Increase the perceived value of your product or service with better client education. Companies that have a strong brand and do strong, very successful education-based advertising are pretty price immune. Economy doesn't seem to affect them very much. And this is because they build a following. And, there's a other benefit to that. When you have a strong brand and you advertise consistently, it also improves the morale of your employees if you have them. So you can increase the perceived value of who you are by developing that branding. And then use PR campaigns, use press releases, learn how to get your name out there, and offer a free report to capture early prospects. Remember, we showed you some of those ads, especially the attorney ad that had the free report. That's how you get that 70%. Obviously, to have more clients, you need to get them to stay with you longer. So that's part of the equation. You have to slow down the attrition. So when I increase client retention, I get more clients. So I want to deliver higher than expected levels of service. What's the wow factor that you can deliver with what you do? Communication is one of the big reasons businesses fail. Communicate frequently with your clients. Learn to nurture them and build a relationship, a real relationship, not a fake one. Another thing is you want to learn how to get more conversions from prospect to sale. So that means you need to increase the sales skill level of your staff. Whether you're by yourself or you have people helping you, you need to get better at selling. You got to get better at closing. Like we talked about under lead generation, figure out how to get clients to break even and make money on the back end. Again, risk reversal, another great way to increase the conversion. And then, of course, advertising, and hire salespeople. Don't be afraid to bring people in. If the budget's tight, sit down and figure out how you could do a straight commission. So that's one element. Remember, we talked, there's 3 ways. Get more clients. Now we're going to talk about get more revenue per sale. You want to focus on cross-selling and upselling. Every business can figure out how to create a cross-sell and an upsell. Doesn't matter what the business is. You might need to be creative. But if I'm a body shop and I'm repairing I just got done repairing a client's car, an upsell could be a paint care kit, or I could upsell them on 12 months worth of detailing. Hey, you're a client, as a special, we have this deal, boom, 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 and I can offer detailing. Cross-sell could be other services, things along those lines. So if I was to buy, if I'm looking at a home improvement and I choose to buy windows, a cross-sell would be shutters. Related, it could be an upsell, but it's really a cross-sell, or guttering, roof, siding, all of those things. Those are upsells and cross-sells. So you want to work that into your sales process. Point of sale promotions. I mean, well, no, that's why they have all that stuff before you go to checkout. And more of these businesses are creating the lane that you have to go through, wander through. It's a queue, so that it's orderly, and it's really so that they can take you by the high purchase items to get you to buy more. So, but everybody, again, they're in the middle of checking out. What could you offer them at the point of sale? Figure out how to put complementary products and services together. Bigger bundles. If you do bigger bundles of items, then you can get more revenue per sale. Just increase your prices. Very, very few businesses can't actually increase their prices. And there's, it's outside the scope of this training, but there's a lot of studies, and I've done it in many, many businesses. You can raise your prices quite a bit and afford to lose clients and still make more money. And if your business, if you're meeting yourself coming and going, if it's all you can do to keep up and you're not making the kind of money you want, you could raise your prices 30%. Even if you lost 20% of your clients, you'd still be making more money. You'd also have more time back, which means you could give more attention to the clients you have, higher level of service. So don't be afraid to increase your prices. Learn how to be more upmarket. Figure out how to change your profile in your industry, in your market, so you can upmarket your product. And again, it'll allow you to charge more. And what else could you bundle? A lot of times this comes with bundling. If I'm going to provide the Cadillac service, what else is going to go with it? So changing the profile is a great way to get more revenue per sale. And like I had already mentioned with the increase your pricing, but you could also put together greater and larger units of purchase. Give them, sometimes it makes sense that they buy, 3 times as much. You can offer them a small discount, incentivize that bigger purchase. More repeat orders. Remember, we get more clients, we get more revenue per sale. We want to get more repeat orders. This comes from developing your back end, having products or services that you can go back to your clients with. What else can I sell them? And, another thing is communicating with your clients. Phone, letter, email, social media. Build that positive relationship. It is worth gold. Figure out how to endorse other products to your clients. This is huge. We call it joint venture in the online world, but it's, if you're a chiropractor and you want to recommend a dentist or your insurance agent or your contractor, if somebody comes and works on your home and they did a great job, and you would naturally turn around and refer them to people anyway because they did a great job. Well, why not be intentional about it? Why not, if you're in a networking group, find somebody that's complementary to what you do and cross-promote each other. Running special events, closed door sales, limited pre-release. Make your clients feel special. Get them to come back in. There's all kinds of ways you can do that. And then, of course, price inducements if they buy more frequently. Lots of businesses, I love ice cream, and so they give us the little card and they punch it, and after 8 punches, we get 1 free. That's a wonderful thing. I'd come back anyway, but I like that free one. It's pretty good. So 3 things: more clients, more revenue, more repeat orders. And we just covered over 30 different ways to actually do that. Don't try to do it all. It's overwhelming. Pick 1 or 2 out of each of the areas and work on it. And when you get that mastered, add another one and just keep working on it. Keep going. Here's another thing I want you to think about marketing. I want to shift, create a loyalty rewards club, like I just told you about the ice cream place. I want you to think differently about your marketing efforts. Remember, we talked about, as the power of the Parthenon, I kept putting up columns of different ways to market your business and bring clients in. Start thinking about return on investment instead of response rate. And what I mean by that is a lot of small business owners I talk to, they choose, they just think that direct mail is a waste of time because they only get a 2% response rate or less. And they just think that's terrible. Well, is it? I mean, 2% response, let's talk it through. I mean, if you mailed out 5,000 pieces, a 2% response, you get 100 responses. Okay, so is that good or bad? Well, I mean, is it? I don't know. Let's put some numbers to it. If I put them out there, by the time I pay the postage and everything, it might very well cost me $7,500 to get those 100 responses. That's $75 a response, 75 bucks a lead. Is that good or bad? Well, if you're selling a $100 widget, you're in trouble because you're not going to get 100% of the people to buy. But if what you have to offer is $5,000, $15,000, $25,000 product or service, and this is, we didn't talk about it, but you got to think about the lifetime value of a client. What does somebody spend with you over their lifetime? What's it worth to acquire that new client? What can your cash flow handle? If somebody spends 10 grand with you over their lifetime, but it's going to cost you $2,000 to get them, and it's going to take you 2 years to get that $2,000 back, maybe your business can't afford to acquire that client. You're going to have to work things out to get that client less expensively. But if you've got a high profit margin and you got 10 new clients out of that $7,500 investment, that might be $50,000 to $250,000 in additional revenue. Is it a good deal? What's the return on investment? That's really all that matters. Now, if you started out at 2% and then you figure out you learn how to split test, that means you have a control piece and then you do something different on another piece and you work it out to where 2% suddenly becomes 4%. All of a sudden you're making a lot of money. And like I told you earlier, direct mail is actually becoming more effective right now because we have a lot less competition. So this is about 16x. And I know you've heard about the power of 80-20, the Pareto rule or the Pareto principle. And it kind of breaks down in a lot of different ways. I mean, 15 to 20% of a bank's customers generate up to 95% of the bank's profits. 5% of the internet's top sites generate over 85% of all the traffic online. 20% of the people in the world control 80% of the wealth. 20% of your business activities and actions, they probably account for 80% of your revenue. And I can tell you, after managing many companies and certainly hundreds and hundreds of salespeople, one of the companies I was at, we had 105 salespeople that I managed. And 18 of my salespeople generated 80% of the revenues. And, another company I was at just recently, I was consulting with a company and they had 5 salespeople. One guy did 50% of the sales. So the 80-20 rule, I mean, it might not really be 80-20. Sometimes it's 70-30, other times it's 90-10. But the principle is what applies. So I want to explain how this works in your business. If your business generates $100,000 a month, and just for the sake of argument, we're going to say it takes 10 actions to make that happen. That could be, sales is an action, marketing is an action, customer service is an action, 10. It could be 50, it could be 20, it doesn't matter. The math will work no matter what. But let's say it takes 10 actions to make that happen. The 80-20 rule would tell us that $80,000 of that 100 is the result of 2 of those actions. In other words, 20% generated 80% of your revenue. So each one of those actions is actually worth $40,000. That means $20,000 comes from 8 actions. And those actions are worth $2,500 each. If you take 2.5 times 16, you come up with that one action, 40K. So what this really illustrates, and this is the power, this really is where the 16X comes from. This is the proven formula for massive business growth. So I already showed you how you could work on clients, revenue, and repeat orders to double your business. And I've doubled many businesses in 90 days or less. It's very, very doable. I've already shown you how you can double your business, and you can do that over and over. You just got to get better and better and better at it. But the true power of 16X comes from harnessing the Pareto principle and taking a look at your day. If you studied your day over the next 2 weeks and you kept track of what you did, you would find at the end of that 2 weeks that 20% of what you did really generated 80% of your results, your big money producing results. That means 80% of what you're doing every single day is things that you need to outsource, hire somebody to do, quit doing altogether, barter with somebody else. Find somebody that loves to do the things you hate to do. And maybe you love to do the things they hate to do, and trade. If you did that and you kept working to where your 20% of your effective day became 80%, the growth is exponential. You really can have 16x massive business growth. So I appreciate you being with me. What we've covered is why you're stuck, and you might be experiencing that feast or famine cycle in your business, or you're just not hitting the revenue goals that you desire, that whole plate spinning nightmare. I showed you how to break that cycle once and for all. And really what you have to do is execute a formal marketing plan. You need to automate your client acquisition process. You need a sales funnel, and you can go do that. And I've shown you enough. If you paid good attention, you can absolutely go do that with what I've shown you. A critical shift in your thinking. I want you to recognize you're the CEO, you're the founder, you're the president. You are an organization. And marketing should be based on ROI versus rate of return. I don't care if I only got 100 leads. I care whether or not those 100 leads became $50,000 in revenue, or whatever the number is. And I showed you how you can double your business, how you can have your own business growth explosion, and how you can put the power of 16x to work for you. So what I want you to imagine, think about this a few years out the road. Think about 2-3 years down the road, you're not struggling to get clients because you've got a process in place. You are no longer competing on price because you have differentiated yourself in the marketplace. You are seen as the expert and the authority. You've doubled your gross profit in the next 90 days, and you did it over and over. You just kept building and building. And you had the kind of free time to do the things that you love, but you've always been putting them off. Because I know small business owners and solopreneurs, most of you, when you jump into business, myself included, we all go into business because we want to do it our way. We want to have the freedom, the power, and the control to do what we want to do. But we also believe with that, not only can we do it better and get paid better, but we also think we're going to have control over our home life. And oftentimes that's not what happens. We find that we end up spending 40, 60, 80 hours a week in our business. And we start giving our business Saturdays. And then next thing you know, it's 7 days a week. And some of you may be there. That's not what it takes. You can build your business, and it doesn't require 7 days a week. It doesn't require 6 days a week. I don't care what the business is. It can be done in less. But you got to put the right processes and systems in place. So imagine, what would it be like to have free time back to do the things you love that you stopped doing because you're so caught up in your business? Or how would your life and business be different? Think about those things. Remember why you got in business. You see, my mission is to help 1,000 small business owners and solopreneurs regain control of their lives, build the businesses and income they've always thought was possible, so you can enjoy the rich freedom and lifestyle you deserve. John Assaraf, who was the co-founder of One Coach, he's a CEO. He's built 5 multi-million-dollar companies. John hired me to launch the One Coach process. And John says, Mike understands sales and human nature as well as anyone out there. He's a great asset to everyone who he comes in contact with, and I highly recommend him, especially if you need any sales, management, training, or consulting. Keep this in mind. You can have that business growth explosion by focusing on the 3 areas: clients, revenue per order, and repeat orders. And you can have 16x by focusing on what you're doing. So because you're on here, and because I am on a mission, and I told you this is not a sales call, I have nothing to sell you. I am offering small business owners and solopreneurs that are ready to take their business to the next level a free 16x business breakthrough session. If you want my help to kick things up a notch, we can have a free session together. Just go apply. There is an application for you to fill out. And I'm going to be right up front with you and tell you that this is how I get new clients. But trust me, it'll be a great session. You'll come out of that session reinvigorated, ready to go with a clear plan for what you need to do next. And if it's a good fit, I'll tell you how we can keep working together, but that's not a requirement. I want to help you. So if you go to healthysellingsystem.com/16x session and fill out the application, there's 8 or 9 or 10 questions on there, but they help me know how I can help you. Because quite frankly, if I'm not going to be able to help you, I'm not going to waste your time with the session. I'll just let you know. And but this is I give you an example. At a client, actually a prospect, we're going to be working together, but he and I were talking, and he was struggling. He was only charging $3,000 for his services. Within 20 minutes, I was able to help him understand how what he does is genuinely worth over $100,000, legitimately over $100,000 to the prospects that he is selling to. Now he's not going to charge $100,000. He's not quite there yet, but I'll get him there. So in the course of 20 minutes, he went from $3,000 for his services to a plan and a process to charge $25,000 for that service with a monthly maintenance service that goes with it. And his maintenance is going to be $1,500 a month. So he's going to pick up $18,000 a year for a customer that he used to, and that's just in extra money, $18,000 in monthly maintenance money from a customer that he used to only ask for $3,000, not to mention the $25,000 initial fee. And believe me, it's a huge service and a tremendous value to the particular market that he services. So that was from a free session. So I will genuinely help you. Anyway, it's healthysellingsystem.com/16x session. And I told you if you stayed till the end, I was going to give you a special sheet, a form, to help you know whether or not you're advertising, to grade your advertising, to know whether or not it's going to work before you even spent any money. And that sheet it's just, it's a really complicated name. It's called the marketing grading sheet. It's going to help you judge your headline, your engage statement, the education portion, and the offer portion, and then the whole format. And trust me, if you just use that sheet, you're going to have much better results with your advertising. So thank you for staying this far with me to the webinar. That grading worksheet, it takes the guesswork out of advertising. You can get that at healthysellingsystem.com/bonus page. So again, that's healthysellingsystem.com/bonus page. To pick up the marketing grading worksheet, you can just download it there. So I want to thank you for your time. Business is the thing that makes this economy work. Small business owners generate 2/3 of the jobs that are created in this country. And that's true around the world. So in the United States, small business owners drive the economy, and that's true around the world. And, in the free societies, I really do know that if I can make that impact on 1,000 small business owners, the impact they have on their local communities will be profound. And so I look forward to helping you. And, stick around, check things out. Keep an eye on my website, Healthy Selling System. I do continue to post things to help you grow, other people, help you grow your business. And I just look forward to anything I can do to help. So, if you had a question, by all means, I will get around to answering it. I'll shoot you out an email on that. And thank you for your time. So again, you can pick up, you can apply for the free coaching session, the business growth session. I'll show you how to 16x your business. It'll be tailored specific to you at healthysellingsystem.com/16x session. And you can get your free marketing grading worksheet at healthysellingsystem.com/bonus page. Thank you again. I am honored that you were here, and I appreciate your attention, and I thank you very much, and I wish you all the best.